Hello everyone, my name is Johny and today I'm shooting a full guide on the early stages of survival in RimWorld. This video will be very helpful for beginners but will offer something to advanced players as well, given that there should be quite a bit of information which might be unfamiliar. So the first thing we should do is set up a new colony, choose our initial scenario, and of course select Cassandra Classic. As we're moving forward, I don't want to alter anything here, however, you can add factions that you wish to see in your game. The very first thing you need to do is decide on the biome where you're going to survive. Perhaps the tropics, maybe the desert, or even a standard forest. It's crucial to take note of the growing season. It can be year-round or perhaps, let's see, 40 to 60 days. That is, it would be winter. If it were all year-round, there would virtually be no winter on your map. For beginners, I suggest playing in a regular forest, somewhere with lots of mountains, so you get the resources you need, and also so that the growing period is all year round. Look, we have this type of map, by the way. I'll focus on it because look, here in the mountains there's a pocket where you can build your base, construct a wall. It's quite good for survival, and the growing period here is all year round. Let's move on to ideologies. I'm not going to choose. The most important thing we need to do at the start of the game is to choose good colonists. Look, this colonist is wonderful. He has good shooting, good close combat, and good medicine. The second colonist is a good builder. He has good crafting and he's quite smart, but he has a problem that he likes to smoke joints. So let's press randomize. We come across another one. See, a fine colonist, intellectual, good doctor, good crafting. Generally, there are no major problems like that. And so we still have our last colonist. Let's randomize him a bit. And we see that he is a reliable gardener. He is skilled at medicine. Basically, our main difficulty here is that we have poor construction. We mine inadequately. We cook extremely poorly. So let's select a character who isn't very useful to us right now. Actually, at the moment, the least useful to us is this very combat-ready colonist of ours. Let's randomize him, ensuring that we have slightly better construction, mining, and of course cooking. Everything here is excellent. Construction 8, mining 8, plant growing 11, pretty good. The only problem is that now no one fights well, doesn't shoot, cooks very poorly. But I think over time we'll find ourselves a cook and a shooter and wrestlers and so on. Well, let's get going. Let's start. Look, first of all, after landing, we just inspect the map. And as I said, look, a beautiful pocket where you can build your base. Let's do it right away. Click on this architecture button. Then we have the structure of the wall. Immediately close all the gaps in our defenses. Here, already using this dilapidated structure, you can already build a little bit of our walls. In fact, all the walls will be ready. Now we are starting to build our first house. It does not have to be very large. We just need to use all our landscape solutions as clearly as possible. Let's build a wall here, put doors right away. In principle, this will be our initial house, and we also need to build inside our house right away. Look, I have this construction quality. It's a mod. It won't be in the regular game, but of course you can download such a mod for yourself. In a regular game, it will be something like this. In other words, the characters will build the way they will build. Still, I will enable this mod for myself. I will increase it so that they build more or less decent beds. Next, these are the resources we need to create so that our sims can pick up everything. And by the way, let's immediately arm our characters. We click on bio and we can see who shoots how, who fights how. We see this character shoots more or less. We give him this rifle. This one shoots a bit worse. Well, it's true that he shoots horribly, but it's good in close combat, isn't it? And of course, let's put each of them in some sort of armor so they are not so vulnerable. Right now, when our warriors are armed and armored, they will begin building our fortifications. Let's immediately direct them here in the orders to cut down trees and just observe how they work. By the way, it's important to press here in the drug policy. We choose no drugs where we have food. We prohibit this in order for our characters not to get poisoned from bad food. Then ban raw meat, then bodies, plants, drugs, raw resources. That is essentially we have already forbidden raw food. Basically, our characters now should not get poisoned from food in any way. And we also have a question about our characters' clothing. We also press edit here where we have hit points. and we just make it so that our characters can wear clothes from 51% to 100%. And we also prohibit them from wearing clothes from corpses. You can observe that our wall is almost completely built. Here are the doors. The opponent we built will not get through here just like that. Our characters will be able to safely exit, bypassing all of this. By the way, we must command our characters to build this wall as quickly as possible, because there will be a problem here if some animal will start hunting our characters. By the way, we need to capture this door so that other animals, so that raiders simply cannot pass through them, meaning these doors will now, when I clicked capture, they will be used only for our characters. These walls do not need to be captured, because then the raiders will ignore them and will not perceive them as our walls. That is, in principle, they should not even attack them. By the way, do not forget that. So these resources, they deteriorate when they're outside. Look at 57 right now. That is, they are constantly deteriorating in principle. Let's make sure they don't deteriorate. Click on zones, create a warehouse here so that our characters store our things here. But now we are getting to work. Look, switch on here so that we have these numbers. Always repeat this fight in every game. With fire 1 to be a patient, 1 to be a doctor, 1, and also to rest on the bed 4. That's it basically, that's all. Then you can edit for each character what you want. For example, I need my characters to transfer these resources to our warehouse now. We will just make a transfer here for 1, and now our characters will transfer resources first of all. Look, you see my character is approaching now, carrying all these resources because I ordered him to do so. We also have this section in our schedule, and here we can set when our characters will work, rest, sleep, and so on, and the accessible zone where they can move. I'll talk about this in more detail later. In principle, our first day will soon be over, and I would say that at the moment, everything is more or less okay. We will also go to this section here and choose to place at least some. Let's put a torch down. We can also go to rest and put a table here so that our characters can play chess, relax a little, and so on. You can also press the Alt button on your keyboard and see what impression our characters have of our home. Actually, the biggest problem now is that all these resources are now considered garbage. They are ugly. They spoil the impression. Plus this is the flooring. That is, these are all basically solvable problems. But I will talk about this a little later. For now, we are waiting for how our first day of survival will end. Well, actually, our first day of survival ended well. Let's now get down to improving our house. First of all, we need to replace all these walls with some others. We can actually make something beautiful out of these walls, or we can just rebuild them. We just order to dig up all these walls. When our characters finish our excavations, we will simply replace them. For example, with wooden ones, of course. We choose the territory of our base cleanly. Now we go into the charts for all our characters, set zone 1. This means that now all our characters will be only in this zone and will never leave it. Well, except for some kind of nervous breakdown when we just lose control over them. Speaking of these things, we can deconstruct them to get all sorts of goodies. For example, from these we get such steel and components. In fact, these pieces of spaceships are quite useful, and sometimes they still fall from the sky. So I've set up a zone, and now our Dumbo starts running. I hope he'll be a bit faster than this warg. And it has happened. Our Dumbo calmly escaped to our base's territory, and soon this warg will go hunting, let's say, for this moth. Look, it happened. The warg lost its target after seeing our character and began hunting another resident of our map. By the way, this warg will lose in this massacre, or maybe not, let's observe. No, in fact, despite being heavily injured and most likely will die in a few hours, it still managed to win the fight. Characters are expanding their house, and soon we will make it a lot more beautiful. Look, we've got here. Let's immediately dig up these components too, because they are very useful after all. Actually, we can look at these stone fragments, and I'll immediately tell you how to get rid of them. Here we are creating this area for stone debris, and now we press twice on these fragments. Well, we press transfer them. I have a mod that when you click, they transfer twice as fast, so let's use it. We also need to order our characters in the work section to actively transfer everything. What else? Let's get to work on some construction for our base. Because look, our characters' moods are just terrible. The main problem is that they live in such a bad base. Let's get to work on construction. We create these walls like this to cover all of our stone walls. And of course, after that, we need to make a floor covering. It will be wooden. Oh, look, we now have a moth at our base, which I don't need here at all because it only creates garbage. Press to keep the doors open and then it eventually came out. Now close all of them. Our main task now is to somehow rebuild our house ASAP because our character's mood is simply terrible. And let's also move these materials over here. Everything in the work panel will make our characters do some construction. In theory, everything should be built pretty quickly. Just watch. Currently our house's atmosphere rating is -65, but just you wait. Look, a feud has started between our colonists because one insulted the other. But now the latter has stopped insulting everyone in general, which is great. And speaking of our characters who can heal, we can click on the health tab to enable self-healing. It's very handy so they can just take care of themselves when there's no other healers around. Meanwhile, the second day of our survival is nearing its end. I want to say that fundamentally we're more than okay right now. The only trouble is our character's bad mood. But I assure you, as soon as we renovate our home and make everything pleasing, their ill temper will hardly ever bother us again. We're running short on wood, so let's get to chopping down trees. Just watch how the perception of our home improves. Essentially, as soon as our characters construct walls and flooring, look, perception isn't even negative anymore. A little more improvement and it'll be beautiful. The current main issue with the impression of our home is just that these resources are lying around. We're going to fix it and remove the minus beauty. We just need to get rid of this. Go in here and pick the shelves and put up as many racks as we need. I think for now, this approximate number will be enough for us to start with. We just have to wait for our characters to build everything. Look, now that we've got everything built, it's actually pretty clean here. Just look at this. Let's tidy up here a bit. Watch, now we have enough of everything. Good, beautiful, 52 points for impression. Now our character's mood will only improve. Basically, from this moment, when we no longer have any mood debuffs and so on, we can start developing our base. Let's move our beds over here now, or press the letter B on the keyboard. We need to move all these beds now. This is the first thing we need to do. Build a research table, and now we have 3 things that we need to research first. These are batteries, this solar panels, advanced lighting. Those are the 3 things we need to do in the first stages. Then after that, we move on to either weapons or microelectronics. But first of all, I will deal with microelectronics. Now we choose our smartest character, Snowy. We choose research in his work. We basically take everything from him that can distract him. Now he will almost always be engaged only in research. Let's order our character to butcher these animals. Now, when we have no electricity. In principle, our character is not very good at cooking. We can only do one thing. This, in principle, no one likes this nutritious paste. But you know, when there are no other options, this is the best option possible. But there is one problem for it is still, well, we need at least some electricity. So for now, we have the initial reserves for survival. That is, we have 34 units of food, so let's not rush yet. But then the ideal solution for us would still be to make this nutritious paste. Because if our characters start cooking something, we will all just die. Actually, to generate electricity, we don't really need to make solar panels at all. At the start of the game, we have a wind turbine, but look at how much space it takes up. Around 8 solar panels can fit in the same space, which will produce a lot of electricity. Now that our character is conducting this research, we still have to start building some form of defense. What do I mean by defense? I mean a killbox. We'll build a killbox right here. It's a perfect spot. I'll explain what it is. The most ideal killbox has a small entrance. This is where our killbox will start. Look, we make this straight corridor in 2 directions and continue on for 2 more blocks. We're adding a wall now. See, first thing we need is traps, and then we need to place these fences in front of each of our traps. Let me tell you why this is done in general. Our enemies only walk through traps because they somehow think that fences will slow them down a bit, but you know, it only works with raiders because some animals go over the fences. Our characters still get it. Traps are hostile to us. They are dangerous. They will only cross fences. Actually, that's the mechanics. Raiders through traps. Our characters and our guests who will visit our map will go through fences. This is the ideal killbox. We must keep these doors open so the raiders understand that the entrance to our base is right here, because if we close the doors, they would just break the walls. So let's talk about deforestation, because we really have very little wood. I noticed here that I accidentally set the traps to be made of steel. This is a big mistake because it's unprofitable and expensive. We need to make traps from wood. Let's rebuild our traps, but now we will choose that they should be made of wood. That's it. We have set our wooden traps. Now they will be the way we need them. In principle, the whole kill box, nothing special, nothing complicated. In principle, everything is easy and normal. That is, you won't find a better solution for the early game. After a few game hours, our kill box is almost ready, and we have also finished researching the batteries. Now we'll move on to the solar panels, after which we will do the rest. By the way, don't forget that our house should be clean, because look how much dirt there is. Ruins the impression of our house. We hold shift. We pinch with the right button and create these strips in the dirt along which our characters will clean. Look how good everything is now in our house. By the way, since we have already examined our batteries, we will now put 2 or 3 batteries immediately in front so that later we do not waste time on this. Let's put them here. It's very important that they should be under the roof, because if it goes rain, they will just explode. So let's build a roof here, put doors. By the way, you don't have to put doors. We can just make sure that water does not get on them, but I still prefer to build a separate room so that if the raiders enter, let's say, our territory, they could not destroy our batteries very easily. And the first raid began. Our raider has some kind of firearm. Our opponents have begun their assault. We are watching. He's injured. Hey, before we kill our adversary, I suggest we strip him. Okay, let's move over here. Remove all restrictions and strip our enemy, so his clothes aren't perceived as taken from a corpse. Because if we kill him now and then dress in his clothes, they'll appear as if we've stripped them from a body, and they won't be as appealing and nobody would want to wear them. And now when he's already on the ground, we can check what he has, who he is, what he's like. He's extremely intelligent, his crafting skill is top notch, and I think it would be great to capture him. To make him our colonist, I'm not sure if this is a good idea or not, but let's go for it. What's his health like? He'll die soon at 7 o'clock. Well, maybe we'll have time to build him at least a small house. Let's do it this way. We'll put up doors and immediately set up a bed like this for him. Well, let's observe. You know, it feels like they don't really care about him. That's it. Look, when this room is ready, we click on the bed and prepare it for the prisoners. We choose our character, press the right button on our enemy and move him. Now let's see if we have time or not, because he'll be very useful immediately. We need to treat him right away. So what is our character doing? Look at his health, just 2 hours left before he dies. Now it's 3 hours, 4 hours, 7. Basically, he is almost completely healthy. Now we will fully heal him. That's it, he's healthy. Now we click on him, this is the prisoner, and recruit. Now we wait for him to be recruited to speed up this process and decrease the chances he'll try to escape somehow. We can do good room, but right now I don't have time for that. Let's focus on our main tasks for now, and we're already nearing the point where we'll have finished solar panels. After we create the solar panels, the only thing left for us to do will be the e-fridge, meaning after the fridge, the initial stage. This is the most basic stage in this game. It will be completed. Basically everything I can tell you for the very first initial stage will be totally consumed. Look, another chunk. Let's tell our character to dismantle it a bit, and he will immediately take all these components to the base. Solar panels have been explored. What are we doing? We go into the energy and put our solar panels. To begin with, I think only 3 pieces will be enough. We also immediately go into the energy, and here is a cable, and immediately run a cable to our battery and another cable to our house and run it along the walls. Because the cable that goes on the ground, it still affects the beauty of the room, so it is necessary. By the way, do not forget to clean up the house. Look, in our house it is quite good. Well, basically, all the dirt is done by our cat, but that we will eat it outside. Now we already have solar panels. We can safely disassemble this torch, replace it here with a lamp. We just have to wait for the morning. But what should we do with food? Well, we still need to create something so that we can eat. I think we just need to create a separate room for this device because I don't want it to take up a lot of space at our base. Here is a room like this. Let's make an entrance to it here. We need to make funnels in order to load food. Let's make 2 pieces like this and just wait. There's no point in routing the electricity because we'll have it right here with this radiator. You could put a lamp here to make a kind of floor covering so it's a bit cooler. Look, it's not a bad room. We will put a floor covering here and here too. I think it's pretty good. Let's wait for our characters to gather some berries. Look, here's our character. He's gathered the berries. Now he'll take them back to the base and definitely put them here. So this is basically it. The only thing left is to make a refrigerator. Let me now tell you the basics of how to build a decent refrigerator. We're nearing the end of our video. Well, let's put the fridge somewhere around here. Let's make this little area, install doors and bring the electricity a little closer because, well, the refrigerator is a bit too far to route the electricity. Here we are. We're just adding some more of our racks. We've set up a few and are filling the rest of the space with a standard area for storing our resources. Why are we doing this? Because in the racks, there'll be finished products like meat and such, while on the floor there'll be animal carcasses. Here we select all these racks, click here, connect them, forbid everything but food. Here we forbid everything but the animal carcasses, the large ones. We could also leave food if suddenly there's simply no space left. By the way, here we'll also connect these racks, all of them, and while everything is available here, we're turning off the food. So now the food won't be stored here at all, it will be stored over there, on these racks. Now that we've made these basics, the main thing we need for our fridge is to create cold. For that, we'll make an air conditioner, 1 or 2 depending on the outdoor temperature. Let's build 2 right away to avoid building a second later on. It's crucial that the blue square is facing what we want to cool. Look, one of our colonists started eating from our apparatus. That's normal. Wait until our fridge is ready. That's what I was talking about. Our big cat started hunting my character. Let's block the base exit and just run. If the cat attacked our traps instead of hopping fences, it'd be a bit easier. Now our fridge is almost ready with 1 air conditioner functioning at 21 degrees and 3 of our rooms are 15 degrees. Press here literally 3 times and now we have -9 degrees here that's inside. Now the temperature, look, is decreasing and now this is a refrigerator. It freezes all our products. They'll never spoil again. That's really all. This is kind of a micro guide on how to survive in the prime world at the very beginning, and I'm sure that for those who have just started playing the world, it was very, very useful. And for those who have already played once, already some kind of an advanced player, then in principle I think they will also find something more or less useful for themselves, which they may not have seen yet, maybe this killbox or something like that. Well, you were on the Johny Play channel. I hope you liked everything very much. Look, my animals are fighting. A rat attacked my cat. Let's press the letter R and attack this naughty rat so that my cat doesn't suffer. That's it. He wasn't injured at all. Great. You were on the Johny Play channel. Like, subscribe to the channel, write comments. Until next time.